All right, Larry, in our past conversations, we've talked about how the fuel that we're putting in our cars wasn't made in the last couple of days, hence why prices take some time to come down despite changes in domestic or foreign policy in real time. The same goes with the production of energy to heat our homes. Can you walk us through the process of energy creation for heating our homes in the winter? Because it sounds like there isn't just some heat switch that gets turned on December 1st.
Yeah, Nick, you're exactly right. And it is something that is, folks need to be aware of. And it's weird because it is probably the furthest thing from everyone's minds right now as you deal with wildfire smoke, as you deal with sometimes triple-digit or near triple-digit temperatures. The last thing you're wondering about is, hey, how's my furnace doing? How's it going to be? But we know that winter has a way of showing up every single year. And so the energy workers are right now extracting that natural gas that will be part of how we get through this winter. And so there's really two main facets of it. There's actually more than two, but the two main ones are, first, we extract it and it's used for electricity here. And so, yes, even your air conditioner right now, millions upon millions of American homes are powered through the burning of natural gas to keep electric turbines running, which produces our electricity. In fact, that's what got us through the recent heat wave Atlantic and in the Northeast. It was natural gas carrying the load there. Coal and nuclear were absolutely present as well. But in the winter, natural gas also takes on the role of you burn it. I think it's 50 million or so American homes rely on it for the heat. So that's what's coming out of your furnace to create the warm air that keeps, let's just be honest, folks alive. A stat that the Greenies don't like sharing a lot is, sadly, 4 times more people are killed by the cold than they are the heat. And that's because when, the Greenies see the heat, they can make a whole lot of hay out of it and say, oh, isn't it hot and miserable and climate? But when it's cold, it seems to happen relatively quick, but it actually kills many more people than does the heat. And so when we look at it, we need to be prepared for what's going to happen in the winter. And so the latest numbers are out, and they show that we're more prepared than we have been recently. And I hesitate to say it, and so you don't want to tempt fate, but the price of natural gas could potentially go down about 5% this winter.
Yeah, I want to talk about all of that and, may reach record production levels for natural gas this year. Would that record production be because of policy from the Trump administration, or would it have happened no matter who is in charge with these companies just being able to produce that much?
Yeah, that's a great question. If in all honesty, I don't know if it would have also happened if someone else was in charge. I do know that it wouldn't have happened to the degree it has. So we set a record for natural gas production last year, and we've broken that record again this year. And so the pace at which it is happening is definitely due to American energy dominance agenda. And the other part is the fact that this natural gas has a larger market than it did under Joe Biden. Folks forget, but in his last year of office, because the Greenies told him to, and because John Podesta's brother had a contract with a natural gas company in Europe, not the United States, Joe Biden halted American export of liquefied natural gas to Europe. Yes, the same Joe Biden who says we have to help Ukraine, not Vladimir Putin, handed a huge gift to Putin and said, oh, we're not going to let our natural gas into Europe. You go ahead and sell yours, Vladimir. And what that lead to? That led to the European Union buying more energy from Russia than in assistance they give to Ukraine by the tune of about 3 billion euros more. And so it is insane when we look at these policies and the way that they fan out across the world. And so we're producing more this year because there is a larger market. Europe is, but we are now the largest exporter in the world of natural gas as well, not just oil, but also natural gas. 26% of all the natural gas on the world market is coming from the United States, and that's helping our allies. And it's also driving more extraction, more refining, and more jobs here.
Yeah, production, not the only part of the piece of the puzzle that we need to be concerned about. Are there enough pipelines and other infrastructure in place to get that gas where it's needed? Because now we are making more than ever.
Yeah, you always know the right way to go. The answer to that is clearly no. And Michigan is, front and central in a lot of those fights and understanding that, hey, energy infrastructure, you can drill, baby, drill all you want, which is good and the right thing to do. but if you can't transport it, you can't process it, you can't move it. And that's why folks see a lot of discrepancies, go to the price at the pump and say, oh my goodness, why is this state so much more than that state? Well, a big part of it is tax policy, particularly of blue states, but part of it is some states haven't allowed new refineries to be built. They haven't allowed new infrastructure to be built. So sometimes it has to be trucked into you. And a pipeline is the most environmentally the most efficient and the most economical way to move energy around the United States. But I think the environmentalists know that once a pipeline is built, then people like having it and become dependent on it, and they just hate that. So that's why one of the fiercest things they fight are pipelines. But the short answer is no. We absolutely need more energy infrastructure. Sadly, that takes a whole lot of time.
Yeah, I was planning on bringing this up later, but we'll kind of jump ahead here in this regard. I'm sure you saw last week the news broke that 2 state of Michigan regulators issued permits for the Line 5 tunnel project under the Straits of Mackinac. It still has a couple more hurdles to get over, but that was big news. Any reaction?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if they're issuing it so that it can move forward, that's great. I wish they would do it faster, and that's the problem that folks are facing right now. Any project that's moving ahead right now, we are overwhelmingly enthusiastic about, because that shows a whole lot of not just the parameter I just talked about, but let's take a look at it. If you are someone who is looking to build that infrastructure, you probably know that you have the next 2.5 years to get it done, which is a blink of an eye in terms of what it takes to get these projects done. And so, because you know that if another unfriendly administration comes into Washington, they can just pull the rug out from under you in no time flat. And so any project that is still saying, yeah, we know there's political uncertainty, but this project's going to be viable and it's needed and we're still moving forward, I can't applaud that enough.
So you already mentioned that there is a possibility of heating bills being a little lower this winter because we are above the 5-year average for natural gas storage right now. You also mentioned that we export. Some people may ask, why is the U.S. exporting natural gas if that could mean higher prices at home because, our supply is going down?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, right now our supply isn't going down. So when we look at the supply of natural gas, it's not measured in barrels like oil is. It's measured in cubic feet. And we're talking in the billions and sometimes trillions of cubic feet. And so what they look at in terms of storage of it, they look at, hey, how much are we storing compared to years past? And hey, how much are we storing compared to what we generally use? Now, there are 2 factors that can really impact that is, one, do we have enough to store? But mostly 2 is there, last year we had 2 really hard cold snaps that use a lot of natural gas. Are we going to have 3 this year? Are we going to have 1? So that all of that has impacts on it. But as we sit here today, we are at 5% more than the 5-year rolling average. And so they take the average of what we've been collecting and storing at this point over the last 5 years, and we are ahead of that. And also, and you're going to hear the 5% a lot, and also we are looking at potentially, if we have a winter like we did last winter, and I know that's a huge if, we're looking at potentially seeing that price will have so much supply that it could drive the price down as much as 5%. Now, again, a lot of variable on that. A lot of, if we have more cold snaps, longer cold snaps, all that can absolutely impact it. But something, and I'm just a nerd, and so this is the part that is interesting to me. When I thought about, how do we store natural gas? I picture the same thing as the SBR. I pictured big tanks, all this man-made infrastructure. It's actually, our natural gas is actually stored in natural formations underground, natural cavernous formations where the natural gas is pumped there and held there until it's ready to go. And so, we're talking caves, we're talking rock formations under the earth. And so if you were to look at, hey, where's our natural gas stored? You're not going to see any tanks above ground.
That is interesting. We're speaking with Larry Behrens, spokesman for Power the Future. Larry, always an insightful conversation. Thank you for your time.
Appreciate it, Nick. Thank you. Have a great day.